I wasn't looking really at any particular work. I mean, I was very interested in the mobiles in general, but also in his approach. I mean, it was more, actually it's something he wrote that was the thing that inspired me, in which he talks about bodies moving in space and vectors of movement and how different elements are in relation to each other. And certainly the work resembles mobiles in certain ways, but it's not a specific work. It was really much more the compositional elements, the way of thinking about how things are put together and how we see them. And then when you take the work as a dance work, it very much changes those ideas when you see bodies moving, human bodies as opposed to inanimate bodies. And I was very, very intrigued by how that would turn out. When you're working from another form, from another medium, the medium of sculpture, and you're trying to, some people would say, translate, or I like to say transpose. Because you're changing the medium, you're not just translating, but you're changing a lot of the meaning. Something is lost, but also something is gained. So it was, for me, I immediately was trying to think of, so how is that going to work? How are you going to be able to change mediums, keep a lot of the ideas of the sculptural medium, the medium of mobiles, but yet understand that because the medium is different, it's going to suggest some very different kinds of things. When you have human bodies on stage, it's going to suggest a different kind of relationship with the viewer. I was looking at music from the period when, from the different, actually the several periods when Calder was creating his mobiles. One of the periods was in France. And so I looked at some French music of that time, some of the jazzy influences, but none of them really struck me. And then I was thinking, oh well, Calder is American. He was an American living in France. So I got the brilliant idea. Well, Prokofiev was a Russian living in France at about the same time, influenced by a different culture than his own, and so there's an influence on both of them of all of the things that were going on in Paris during this very prolific period of art, and so I thought it would be a good juxtaposition. The two seem to fit together somehow. That the influence and how it influenced an American, how it influenced a Russian, how those two are related. It wasn't, there's no specific, I don't have any specific take on it, but it was very intriguing and I saw things about them that were related. There's actually an opportunity for the audience to choose what to see, how to see the work. A lot of times there'll be several elements working at the same time. One may be a little more prominent or sometimes not at all more prominent. So the audience has to choose whether they're going to watch this pas de deux here or this group of dancers doing something over here. Whether there's someone walking on stage, downstage by themselves, which could be very interesting, versus a group of dancers moving very quickly upstage. So it's the juxtaposition of the different groups and different elements to look for and to understand that it's a decision of the audience and a choice as to how to see the work and how to see the relationships between these different elements, between the dancers, between the groups of dancers, as the work progresses. There is a pas de deux in the middle of it, which is in some senses a traditional pas de deux. In the sense that it's a man and a woman dancing together. There's perhaps in some kind of intimate relationship that's suggested, although it's not overt. But you can also look at that section in the same way. What is the relationship between these two people? What is their spatial relationship? What is their emotional relationship? What are the shapes that are formed? What is the physics of it? Calder is very suggestive of the physics of the universe, And I think you see that in the work as well.